In this video, we're going to go ahead and replace our rear exhaust manifold and catalytic converter, located right up underneath the vehicle here. Let's go ahead and remove our intake tube from our throttle body to our air box. Going to pinch this little clamp right here, pinch it, and just wiggle it off of that hose. Now I want to go ahead and separate that hose. Just grab that, give it a few good twists, pop it out. Using our 10mm socket, we're going to go ahead, loosen and remove this clamp, loosen that clamp there. Now, I'm not going to remove them, we're just going to loosen them up pretty good. I want to go ahead and pull this off. And set that aside. Now we want to go ahead and disconnect our rear O2 sensor. You're going to go ahead and reach around behind your throttle body and underneath, and in the back side, right where I'm pointing to with my screwdriver here, is a gray connector. So you're going to reach around, you're going to pinch that little spring tab or clip on the back side, and then disconnect that connector. Now when you reach around here, there's a spring tab or push clip on the top side of it. Now you're going to need two hands. It's a little bit tough to get to, so what I'm using is a pry tool on the top. I'm going to push down on the spring tab. I'm going to use a pry tool to push on the other side of that connector to try and get that to separate. And pinch it on that spring tab right here. Pop that harness out of the back side of it. Now using our pry tool right here, we're going to go ahead and disconnect the little plastic retainer button here holding our O2 sensor to the valve cover tab here. So we're just going to pry this off. Now our O2 sensor is separated. It's just attached to our exhaust manifold. I'm going to use a 14mm socket and our extension to loosen our nuts on the back side here. I'm going to go ahead and use our box wrench on the top to hold that bolt. Now in our case here, our nuts and bolts are rusted and a little bit frozen here. We're going to use some heat on these nuts. I'm going to put some heat on this nut here. Let's go ahead and see if we can break this free. And it looks like we'll be able to salvage this nut and bolt after all. We're going to go ahead and do the same for this nut and bolt here. We're just going to heat this up, and then we'll remove that nut. I want to go ahead and loosen this clamp right where our Y pipe joins together. This is going to allow us a little bit of freedom to go ahead and separate our cat from our pipe here. We'll use our 12mm socket to go ahead and loosen this. Okay, remove that nut. We'll just drop that hanger right out. And go ahead and set that aside. What we're going to do is use our 7/8 wrench here and try and loosen this O2 sensor. Looks like we're able to break that free. go ahead and work that O2 sensor out. Now at this point here, the O2 sensor should be just loose enough where I can reach up and spin it out. And there we go. Go ahead and remove that sensor and go ahead and drop that out. And we're going to use our 12mm deep socket and a long extension. We're going to put this between the floor pan of the vehicle and our sway bar. Get that up in there, and let's go ahead and loosen this. And we should be able to catch that coming off. Let's go to the one just to the left of it on the top. We do the same here. Let's go ahead and loosen this all the way off. Get that nut off of that. Let's go for that other top bolt right here. Here we go. Let's go ahead and loosen this. Let's head on to our lower row of hardware here. Let's go ahead and loosen this. And go for our lower middle stud here. And once we break that free, we'll go ahead and spin that out. Let's go for our last one right here. So we'll go ahead and break that free. There it is. Let's go ahead and work that manifold. With that cat pulled up out of the way a little bit here, I'm going to go ahead and pull out our exhaust donut right here. Pull out our gasket here. Set that aside. Now we're going to go ahead and use our 14mm socket. We're going to move to the front pipe here. We're going to undo these bolts here. Now in our hanger here, we're just going to go ahead and zip out the two 12mm bolts here. And this will let that front section of the exhaust drop down a little bit further. Now we can go ahead and grab that cat. Again, maneuver our Y pipe out of the way a little bit here. Now with the exhaust manifold removed, you want to go ahead and reach up here, grab this gasket, and wiggle that off, and go ahead and remove that. We're going to go ahead and use a block here with some fine sandpaper. And what we want to do is we want to just go ahead and clean off our exhaust ports here. And we're just going to kind of go back and forth. We don't want to use anything aggressive. But we just want to clean this here and make sure that we don't have a large amount of carbon buildup on there when we go to put our gasket on. And we'll do this until we can get these pretty clean. And then we'll go ahead and install our gasket. And once you have your cylinder head cleaned up, you can go ahead and install your gasket. Press that up into place. Let's go ahead and feed your catalytic converter up and in. Go ahead and put our cat right onto the studs up top. What I'm going to do is I'm going to reach up and I'm just going to go ahead and get a couple of these nuts installed. And thread them on as far as you can just to hold that cat in place. Now I went ahead and I used a wire brush just to clean the surface of our Y pipe flange right here. You want to go ahead and get your gasket placed in there. And then you can go ahead and work your manifold up and in. I'm going to get one of those other nuts installed up top. Spin that on as far as you can. I'll put a little bit of anti-seize on that thread there. Drop that bolt in and just going to get one of those nuts started. Thread that on. And we'll do the same for the other side. Now we're going to install our mid bracket here. That's going to help push our exhaust up, and then we'll be able to go ahead and get our front exhaust flange in place. We did go ahead and get some anti-seize compound on these bolts as well. Get that one started. Get this one started here. Now I'm not going to tighten these down yet. Still give us a little bit of flexibility here to work with that front pipe. Let's go ahead and put this pipe together here. Now when you're putting this together, you definitely want to make sure that the gasket is on the other side of this. We already checked ours, so you know we're good. Go ahead and get that bolt started. Thread that in a little bit. And we'll go ahead and get the one installed on the other side. I'm going to install the nuts on the back side of these bolts. the same on the other side here. I'll put our wrench up top here, and let's go ahead and tighten these bolts down. And at this point here, let's go ahead and finish installing the rest of our manifold nuts. We'll get all these started by hand, and they'll come on back and we'll tighten those down. With all 6 of those nuts installed, we're just going to go ahead and snug those down. Now we're going to go ahead and torque down our manifold nuts to 15 foot-pounds. Now there's a particular pattern we want to do this in. We're going to start at the top center bolt, bottom center, bottom right, upper left, bottom left, and upper right. That is your 6. So just to review that pattern one more time, the upper center, bottom center, lower right, upper left, lower left, upper right, 15 foot-pounds. Let's go ahead, we're going to tighten down our bolts here for our downpipe. Just want to make sure those are good and tight. Let's go ahead and install our clamp. And normally there's a stud on the other side. Ours had broken, so we drilled it out. We put a nut and bolt in here previously. And we're just going to tighten these down.
I'm going to feed up our O2 sensor and get that into our manifold. I'm going to go ahead and start getting that caught. I'm going to try and twist this in and rotate that harness at the same time. That'll prevent any wires from breaking on that O2 sensor. And once it's bottomed out, we're going to go ahead and tighten it down. Get your hand up in there and make sure it's good and tight. That feels good. I'm going to go ahead and feed our harness up. I'm going to get this connector pressed into this tab.
Now on the top, you want to go ahead and grab that connector for your O2 sensor. Line that up with the other side of it. Try to get that lined up in there. And then we'll go ahead and press that in. And you hear it click and snap into place. Just going to install our intake tube here. Go ahead and secure our clamps. Once those are secure, go ahead and install the vacuum hose here. Just pop that in. Go ahead and grab our clamp here for the vacuum hose and pop that into place. You're all set.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.